You want to learn how to pressure can and you want a really easy recipe? I'm going to share with you the easiest recipe you'll ever find using your pressure canner. So today what we're going to do is we are going to pressure can black beans, but we have a twist with it. These are called ranch black beans. It is the easiest recipe you will ever find. In fact, even a 5-year-old could put this together. It is so simple that you will not believe that you never tried it before. Black beans are an amazing source of protein. And black beans are something that's really easy to can, and it's great to have it as a convenience item. So when you're working all day long and you get home and you don't have a thing to make, you can pop open a jar of these black beans, you can add it to some rice, to some ground beef, to a salad, to anything you want, and you have an instant meal. So let's get started, and I'll share with you the 1, 2, 3 of canning beans ahead of time. And all we do is take 1/2 cup of raw black beans and put it into each pint. I would strongly recommend you use the wide mouth pints because the wide mouth pints make it so much easier to get the beans out of the jar. 1/2 cup in each jar. I learned this recipe from Starry Hilder, but we are adding the ranch part of it, and that is something that's going to make these beans go from original to extraordinary. This was a 2-pound bag. Now my canner, double stack, can hold 19 pints. So it's really important to try to stack your canners full. Canning is such a time saver. I know it's hard to realize because you have it in the canner for 75 minutes, but to soak your beans and to cook them in the conventional way, it takes a lot of time. But by pressure canning your beans, your pressure canner is actually cooking your beans for you. Not only is it cooking them, making them very tender and perfect, it's also preserving them as well. Now I'm going to add a little something different to my black bean video than what you see in many other videos. Today we're going to make ranch beans. And it's really simple. It's just a couple of spices that we're going to add to our black beans. So for each jar, it calls for 1/2 teaspoon of everything. So 1/2 teaspoon of onions. And these are my onions from this summer that I dehydrated. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this to every jar. Now this recipe is not considered USDA approved. So what does that mean? Well, the USDA many years ago set out some guidelines. In other words, it means that it wasn't tested to see if it could stand the test of time. I follow the USDA to a certain extent, but when it comes between common sense, I go by my own judgment. So I'm what you call a rebel canner, simply because I make my own choices of what I'm going to can and what I'm not. There's certain things that I have not canned yet, but you will be seeing in upcoming videos of me canning it. I have been canning for 32 years, and in the course of that time, there's very little things that I would not can again. I've even canned rice, and I love it. So the next item it calls for is chili powder, and it calls for 1 teaspoon of chili powder. My granddaughter even likes to eat these beans just heated up plain the way they are. You can get black beans at the Dollar Tree, or you can get them about any place. Just about anywhere you can get them. I like black beans and I like kidney beans. Those are the staple beans that I use. And it looks so pretty in the jars. Now I used up all of my wide mouth jars. This is all I have of the wide mouth. So I don't have that many today. And then it calls for a half a teaspoon of salt. Some people use canning salt. I don't have a problem with it. So I use sea salt. You're not supposed to use iodized salt. There's so many things that people insist on you doing and not doing, and I found a lot of it doesn't really hold that true. For me, sea salt works amazing. But if you'd like, you can use the canning salt. The next ingredient is a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper and a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. So we'll do the garlic powder. Oh, they smell so good. Right now I have my water heating up in my electric kettle. And then we're going to fill the jars up with hot boiling water. We're going to put our lids on it and we're going to pressure can it for 75 minutes at 10 pounds pressure. And I always go a little more than 10 pounds pressure. I usually go about around 12 is what I do. That way it doesn't go below it. And now the black pepper. A little bit goes a long way with the black pepper, and any of these ingredients you can actually skip if you would like. You don't have to use any of these ingredients. This is just what gives your beans a little more flavor. Now all we do is we're going to fill our jars with the hot water right to the neckline. Now if you were going to do this in quarts, you would use 1 cup of beans and then you would pressure can for 90 minutes. But since it's just my husband and I, pints work out perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a paper towel that's moistened and just go around the rim, just like that. We do not need to boil these lids because they're going in the pressure canner, but some people still like to boil their lids. I don't see that it's necessary since Ball says we don't need to do that. So we just put on a clean lid and we put our screw bands on. And now we're ready to can it. A full canner. The bag of beans cost me $1 at the Dollar Tree, plus another half a bag. So for $1.50, my friends, I have all of this food with just a little bit of spices. This is about as cheap as you can get.
From Fanny's Diary, we're on February 3rd, 1943. Today, Fanny writes, Jacob Garber, Ferris and Harold Longneckers, Henry Millers, Ernest Hess and Hilda Fry were here all for dinner. What a group it's been, and how much fun we are having. Later on this week, I have lots of beef that I need to can. I sure hope that the weather holds out for Pete, because he has some outside work he really wants to get finished before the springtime comes.